Study 8.1 Our Creator's Calendar, the Hebrew Mazzaroth and the Pagan Zodiac. Shalom, this is the first in a series of studies on the subject of Our Creator's Calendar. The outline of this study. 1. Introduction. Why does this matter? Our Messiah said he would be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. This was the only sign he would give to the Pharisees, and he said it 3 times. In this series of studies, I will show the difference between the Hebrew Mazzaroth and the Pagan Zodiac is their Syzygy. The lunar month begins at the full moon opposition, and the year begins with the full moon in the star group Bethula, also known as Virgo. The Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Day of Atonement are celebrated from evening to evening. This is clearly stated in the text. However, this does not change the definition of a day. The Hebrew day is sunrise to sunset and is divided into 12 hours as measured on a sundial. The Hebrew night is divided into either 3 or 4 watches. The Hebrew Erev is evening twilight and the Hebrew Boker is morning twilight. The Roman concept of a date being 24 hours and divided into AM and PM is total nonsense. The Hebrew word Kodesh means either lunar month or first day of the lunar month. It does not mean new moon. The Hebrew word Shavua means a pattern of 7. It is not the same as the Roman word week. And the 7th day Shabbat is always on either the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd or the 29th day of the lunar month. The 7th day Shabbat is not a Saturday or a Sunday argument, but something much more fundamental is at play. From this you will understand our Messiah was born in September, not December, and Christmas is another lie. Our Messiah was in the heart of the earth exactly 3 days and 3 nights, that is 72 hours. Passover and Easter are not the same thing, and Good Friday and Easter Sunday are also lies. Our Creator gave us an observable calendar in the heavens, involving the sun, the moon, and the stars. We do not need religious leaders, politicians, or a paper calendar to tell us which day is the 7th day Shabbat. A man alone on a desert island with a little knowledge can simply look at the sky and determine the 7th day Shabbat and the other Moedim. I will show you our Creator's calendar is awesome in its beauty and in its simplicity, but we have a lot of unlearning to do before we can appreciate it. The first Exodus. After 430 years in Egypt, our Creator had to remind the believing remnant of Israel of His name, His Torah, and His calendar. The second Exodus. After 2,000 years in Egypt, our Creator is again reminding the believing remnant of Israel of His name, His Torah, and His calendar. Will you be part of what our Creator is doing in the 21st century? The Roman Gregorian calendar is not the calendar of Scripture. The Hillel calendar used in modern Israel is not the calendar of Scripture. The Enoch calendar is not the calendar of Scripture, as they all follow the Syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac. They do not recognize the Kodesh, the first day of the lunar month, and they follow the Roman week, not the Hebrew Shavua. Note, this video relates to the lights in the expanse of the heavens, which are for Otiyot signs and Moedim appointed times. This video does not relate to bowing down to the host of the heavens and serving them. Note this video relates to astronomy, not astrology, and this video highlights the distinction between the Hebrew Mazzaroth and the Pagan Zodiac. 2. Terminology. The Earth orbits the Sun, and the Moon orbits the Earth. The Earth orbits the Sun in the plane of the ecliptic, and the Moon orbits the Earth in a plane which is inclined 5 degrees to the plane of the ecliptic. Syzygy. The alignment of Sun, Moon, Earth, stars is called their syzygy. These diagrams illustrate the syzygy at the full moon opposition and the syzygy at the new moon conjunction. A lunar eclipse occurs at the full moon opposition when the moon passes through the shadow of the Earth. A solar eclipse occurs at the new moon conjunction when the Earth passes through the shadow of the moon. Due to the plane of the moon's orbit, these eclipses do not occur every lunar month. At the full moon opposition, the alignment of the celestial bodies, their syzygy, is Sun, Earth, Moon. The full moon opposition produces light at night. A lunar eclipse at the full moon opposition produces a blood moon at night. Whereas at the new moon conjunction, the alignment of the celestial bodies, their syzygy, is Sun, Moon, Earth. The new moon conjunction produces darkness at night, and a solar eclipse at the new moon conjunction produces darkness at noon. Kepler's law. The Earth's orbit around the Sun is not circular but elliptical, and the Moon's orbit around the Earth is not circular but elliptical. As a result, Kepler's law is in effect, and the radius vectors from the Sun to the Earth and the radius vector from the Earth to the Moon sweep out equal areas in equal times. When the Earth is at perihelion, close to the Earth, the Sun's angular motion across the sky is faster than when it is at aphelion, distant to the Earth. And when the Moon is at perigee, close to the Earth, the Moon's angular motion across the sky is faster than when it is at apogee, distant to the Earth. This irregular angular motion across the sky explains why the moon phases do not line up neatly with the seventh-day Shabbats. And this irregular angular motion across the sky explains why the full moon does not line up neatly with the star pictures, aka constellations, each year. And another factor here is the 13th lunar month in some years. As we will see later, we have two marks in the sand. We have the full moon opposition marking the beginning of the lunar month, and we have the full moon opposition in the star picture Bethula, also known as Virgo, marking the beginning of the year. 3. Heavens, Earth, Sun, Moon, Stars. Shemayim means heavens, Eretz means earth, Shemesh means sun, Yerach means moon, as in a lunar month, singular. Yerakim means moons, as in lunar months, plural. Yarak means moon, as in the celestial body. Levana means white moon or full moon. Here we have two Hebrew words, Yarak, meaning moon, the celestial body, and Levana, meaning moon, the celestial body, in its full moon or white phase. Both Hebrew words have been translated into the Greek as Selene, white moon or full moon. So we have a loss of meaning in the Greek. Kokav means star, singular. Kokavim means stars, plural. 4. The Moedim, appointed times. Moed means appointed time. noun masculine singular. Moedim means appointed times, noun masculine plural. The stated purpose of the sun, the moon, and the stars is to separate the day from the night, and to be for signs and appointed times, and to be for days and years. Mikra means assembly. Kodesh means set apart. Mikra Kodesh means an assembly which is set apart. Chag means feast, singular. Chagim means feasts, plural. Edar means the congregation of the children of Israel, who are a witness or testimony. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, The Moedim appointed times of Yahuwah, which you are to proclaim as Mikra Kodesh, assemblies which are set apart. My Moedim appointed times are these. The seventh day Shabbat, or Shabbat rest, Passover, the feast of unleavened breads, the beginnings of your harvest, memorial of joyful sounding, or day of joyful sounding, the day of atonements, the feast of tabernacles, the eighth day of the assemblies. Although not defined as Moedim in Leviticus chapter 23, we also have the Feast of Harvest and the Feast of Ingathering. The Feast of Shavuot, Rosh Hashanah, and Seudah Mafseket, the Last Supper. Daniel 12 verse 7, Moed, Moedim, and half a Moed. Revelation 12:14, a time and times and half a time. Moedim, appointed times and places, prophetic rehearsals for the bride of Messiah, for those following the way of Yahuwah. 5. Otiot, signs. Ot means sign, singular. Otiot means signs, plural. Our Creator's people have a sign on their hand, that is, in their actions, and between their eyes, that is, in their thinking. One, they lay up and bind our Creator's Debar word and Torah teaching as a sign on your hand and as frontlets between your eyes. 2, they keep the feast of unleavened bread as a sign to you on your hand and as a reminder between your eyes. 3, they keep the seventh day Shabbat as a sign between me and you throughout your generations. It is a sign forever. 4, they dedicate their firstborn son to Yahuwah as a sign on your hand and as frontlets between your eyes. 5, remembering the Last Supper on the correct annual date is also important because he instructed us to do this in remembrance of me. Our Creator's people have his sign on their hand, that is, in their actions, and between their eyes, that is, in their thinking. They follow his calendar. They keep the seventh day Shabbat. They keep the feast of unleavened bread. They do not buy and sell on the set-apart days. The people of the second beast have his mark on their right hand, that is, in their actions, and upon their foreheads, that is, in their thinking. They follow the beast's calendar, the Roman Gregorian calendar. They keep Easter and Christmas. They buy and sell on any day they choose. Lot ate unleavened bread on the evening before he departed Sodom. Israel ate unleavened bread on the evening before they departed Egypt. Will we eat unleavened bread on the evening before we depart? Will we bear our Creator's sign, or will we bear the beast's mark? So the sun, the moon, and the stars provide us with a calendar, but it is not just a calendar identifying days and years. It is also a calendar of signs and appointed times. These signs and appointed times are a prophetic outline of the plan of redemption. It is a calendar of Moedim, appointed times and places, prophetic rehearsals for the bride of Messiah, those following the way of Yahuwah. It is a calendar of otiot, signs, which our Creator's people bind on their hand, that is, in their actions, and between their eyes, that is, in their thinking. 6. The Hebrew Mazzaroth and the Pagan Zodiac, star names. In his book, The Witness of the Stars, Bullinger begins with, "The heavens are proclaiming the esteem of El, and the expanse is declaring the work of his hand." Yes, we know this refers to the creation, but then he goes on, "Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. There is no speech, and there are no words. Their voice is not heard. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set up a tent for the sun." What speech? What words? What voice? He appoints the number of the stars. He gives names to all of them. He calls them all by name. A star group refers to a specific region of the sky where stars appear to be grouped together. There are 88 officially recognized star groups. The Hebrew Mazzaroth. The story of redemption is written across 48 star groups. Each star group is associated with an imagined star picture, a sign. The star picture is a mnemonic, an aid to memory, to the Hebrew names of the stars. The meaning of the Hebrew names of the stars, in their order of brightness, gives us the story of redemption. Adam and Eve and Enoch used these mnemonics to teach their children our Creator's plan of redemption. Yes, much was lost in Genesis chapter 11 when the mnemonics were corrupted, but some of the original remains. The Pagan Zodiac. In Genesis chapter 11, these star pictures were corrupted, and today many are ridiculous. The arrangement of stars in the star group Cassiopeia look like a bent W. There is no way we can imagine a woman enthroned. The Hebrew word Mazzaroth means star groups, and the star groups Arcturus, Orion, and the Pleiades are mentioned in Scripture. The Hebrew word Mazzaroth means star groups, and the star groups Virgo and Aries are indirectly mentioned in Scripture. The star group Bethula, Hebrew, meaning young woman. Note the star in her left hand, named Schemek, Hebrew, meaning the branch, a figure of speech for our Messiah. The star group Telah, Hebrew, meaning lamb. Behold the Lamb of Elohim, who takes away the sin of the world. 6. The Hebrew Mazzaroth and the Pagan Zodiac, Syzygy. Syzygy, the alignment of sun, moon, earth, and stars is called their syzygy. These diagrams illustrate the syzygy at the full moon opposition and the syzygy at the new moon conjunction. On her website, The Creator's Calendar, Kerry French explains the different syzygies of the Hebrew Mazzaroth and the Pagan Zodiac. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, with the stars. The statement, the lesser light to rule the night with the stars, gives us the syzygy for interpreting the signs and the appointed times. At the full moon opposition, the syzygy is sun, earth, moon, stars. At the new moon conjunction, the dark moon conjunction, the syzygy is sun, moon, earth, stars. If we are to read the signs and the appointed times, in our Creator's calendar. When the moon is ruling the night with the stars, then we are to read them at the time of the full moon opposition. We are to read them at the time when the white full moon, the Levana or the Selene, we are to stand on the earth with our backs to the sun, looking at the full moon with the stars in the distance. The Syzygy of the Hebrew Mazzaroth and of our Creator's calendar is sun, earth, white full moon, stars. The Syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac and the pagan calendars is earth, dark new moon, sun, stars. The Hebrew Mazzaroth, our Creator's calendar. The white full moon marks the stars by night when they are visible. In the first lunar month of the year, this syzygy points towards the star group Bethula. The Pagan Zodiac. Rabbinic Judaism uses the dark new moon. Islamic and Karate Jews use the first crescent moon. The moon marks the stars by day when they are not visible. In the first lunar month of the year, this syzygy points towards the star group Pisces, the fish, which was originally known as Dagon, the fish god of 1 Samuel 5, 1-12. The Pagan Zodiac, the Roman Gregorian calendar, marks time by the sun against the backdrop of stars by day when they are not visible. The moon is entirely eliminated. This diagram from the Creator's Calendar website illustrates the syzygy of the Hebrew Mazzaroth. This diagram from the Creator's Calendar website illustrates the syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac. Again, contrasting the Hebrew Mazzaroth with the Pagan Zodiac. These two methods are different by 14 days and 180 degrees of orientation. The Hebrew Mazzaroth was corrupted at the Tower of Babel, Genesis chapter 11, and it was corrupted in 3 ways. 1. Many of the Hebrew names were lost. 2. Many of the star pictures were corrupted. 3. The syzygy was reversed 180 degrees. Rabbinic Judaism has 2 calendars, a religious calendar and a civil calendar, and the 12 lunar months of the calendar correspond with the star pictures. The problem here is the syzygy of both calendars is the same: Earth, dark new moon, sun, stars. This is the syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac. The syzygy of our Creator's calendar is Earth, full moon, stars, and the names of the lunar months are the pre-Babylonian names. 7. Our Messiah was put to death at a solar eclipse. This diagram illustrates the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, the orbit of the Moon around the Earth, and the syzygy of the Hebrew Mazzaroth, where the stars are viewed at the full moon opposition. At the full moon opposition, the alignment of the celestial bodies, their syzygy, is Sun, Earth, Moon. The full moon opposition produces light at night. A lunar eclipse at the full moon opposition produces a blood moon at night. Whereas at the new moon conjunction, the alignment of the celestial bodies, their syzygy, is Sun, Moon, Earth. The new moon conjunction produces darkness at night, and a solar eclipse at the new moon conjunction produces darkness at noon. On the first day of every lunar month, the silver trumpets were sounded. Passover is on the 14th day of the first lunar month. That is, Passover is in the middle of the lunar month. The full moon opposition produces light at night, and in the same country there were shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Later in this study, we will show the birth of our Messiah occurred on the first day of the 6th lunar month. This is September and late summer in Israel. The shepherds were watching their flocks by the light of a full moon in September when the weather is settled in Israel. The new moon conjunction produces darkness at night. On the night our Messiah was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, we read, the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders came with lanterns and torches, and Yehuda betrayed him with a kiss. If Passover was at the time of the full moon opposition, there would be no need for lanterns and torches or for the prearranged sign of identification, the kiss, as the light of the full moon would illuminate their path. But Passover is at the time of the new moon conjunction, hence the lanterns and torches and the kiss. Illustrated here is a lunar eclipse map and a solar eclipse map. The solar eclipse map is for the annular solar eclipse, which occurred on the 14th of October 2023. Note for the people living in La Ceiba, Honduras, there was a period of partial darkness lasting 3 hours and 28 minutes, and a period of total darkness lasting 5 minutes. A full moon opposition may produce a lunar eclipse at night and a blood moon at night, the day of Yahuwah. The sun is turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahuwah. A new moon conjunction may produce a solar eclipse at noon and darkness at noon. And it shall be in that day, declares the Master Yahuwah, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon and shall darken the earth on a day of brightness. The darkness at noon as our Messiah is put to death. All the accounts speak of 3 hours of darkness, but Lucas gives further detail, speaking of 2 stages of darkness. The partial darkness of an annular solar eclipse lasting about 3 hours, and the total darkness of an annular solar eclipse, which lasts about 7.5 minutes, when the veil of the dwelling place was torn in 2. Lucas describes the 2 stages of darkness of an annular solar eclipse. He is describing the fulfillment of the prophecy in Amos 8:9 through a solar eclipse at Passover in the year our Messiah was put to death. Dionysius the Areopagite is mentioned in Acts 17:34. His writings record he was from Athens, received a Greek education, and studied astronomy at Heliopolis. On the day our Messiah was put to death, Dionysius reports seeing a solar eclipse, which caused him to remark, either the creator of the world now suffers, or this visible world is coming to an end. Lucas and Dionysius the Areopagite confirm, on the day of Passover, the day our Messiah was put to death, the 3 hours of darkness at noon was caused by a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses occur at the new moon conjunction. Therefore, Passover is at the new moon conjunction. Passover is in the middle of the first lunar month. Therefore, the beginning of a lunar month is at the full moon opposition. The scene during the total darkness of Luke 23:45. The sun rules by day on its own. The moon rules by night with the stars. However, this is a new moon conjunction. The Syzygy is Earth, dark new moon, sun, stars. Here it is the middle of the day. The sun should be ruling, but the moon has eclipsed the sun. The stars have become visible because the sun's light has been removed. and there is the dark moon in the star group Tela, Hebrew, Aries, Greek. Behold the Lamb of Elohim, who takes away the sin of the world. Josephus confirms the sun is in Aries in the first lunar month of the year. The captain and those with him saw all that took place and said, Truly this was the son of Elohim. The beginning of the lunar month is at the full moon opposition. The first lunar month of the year is when the full moon is in the star group Bethula, Hebrew, Virgo, Greek. This is the sign of Rosh Hashanah, the first day of the first lunar month. This is the sign of Revelation 12.1, the full moon at the feet of the woman. The middle of a lunar month is at the new moon conjunction. The middle of the first lunar month of the year is when the new moon is in Tela, Hebrew, Aries, Greek. This is the sign of the Lamb. Further evidence for the lunar month beginning at the full moon. The first day of the lunar month is the Kodesh. It is a full moon festival. It is an appointed time. It is the day on which the shofar is blown. It is possibly the appointed but hidden throne or judgment day, and it appears to have been known as the Kisi Yom, the throne day. See study 8.3. Our Messiah was put to death at Passover. Our Messiah was put to death at a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses occur at the new moon conjunction. Therefore, Passover is at the new moon conjunction. Passover is in the middle of the lunar month, that is the 14th day of the lunar month. Therefore, the lunar month begins at the full moon opposition, and the year begins with the full moon in the star group Bethula. 8. The night of the Abrahamic covenant. At the new moon conjunction, the alignment of the celestial bodies, their Syzygy, is sun, moon, earth. The new moon conjunction produces darkness at night. At the new moon conjunction there is darkness at night. And he said to Abram, Know for certain that your seed are to be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And it came to be, when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, that see, a frightening great darkness fell upon him. And it came to be, when the sun went down, and it was dark, that see, a smoking oven and a burning torch passing between those pieces. And the sojourn of the children of Israel who lived in Mitzrayim was 430 years. And it came to be at the end of the 430 years, on the same day, it came to be that all the divisions of Yahweh went out from the land of Mitzrayim. But the promises were spoken to Abram and to his seed. He does not say, and to seeds, as of many, but as one, and to your seed. Now this I say, Torah, that came 430 years later, does not annul a covenant previously confirmed by Elohim in Messiah, so as to do away with the promise. From the Abrahamic covenant to the Exodus was 430 years, to the very day. This is the period of time Israel was in Canaan, as well as their time in Egypt, which included 400 years of persecution. This is supported by the Septuagint and the Samaritan Pentateuch, which read land of Egypt and the land of Canaan. And this is supported by the Apostle Shaul. The Passover was on the night of the 14th day of the first lunar month. The Exodus from Egypt was on the 15th day of the first lunar month. The night of the Abrahamic covenant was 430 years prior to the Exodus, to the very day. The night of the Abrahamic covenant was dark. It was dark because there was no moon. It was the new moon conjunction. The night of the Abrahamic covenant was the night of Passover, the 14th day of the first lunar month. It was also dark on the night our Messiah was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. It was also the new moon conjunction when our Messiah was put to death. 9. Guard the lunar month of Abib, the riddle of the Sphinx, the sign of Revelation 12.1, and the sign of the Lamb. Shana means year. Chadashim Rishon means first of lunar months. Rosh Hashanah means beginning of the year. Guard the lunar month of Abib and perform the Pesha to Yahweh your Elohim. This lunar month is the beginning of lunar months for you. It is the first lunar month of the year for you. The commands: guard the lunar month of Abib, and this lunar month is the beginning of lunar months for you, imply an observable sign which enables the people to identify the first lunar month of the year. The riddle of the Sphinx. Bullinger points out the star groups, each with its own star picture, form a circular scroll in the heavens. A circle has neither a beginning or an end. Where do we begin reading this scroll? The great Sphinx statue at Giza has the head of a woman and the body of a lion. The Sphinx figure in the Zodiac in the temple of Asenath in Egypt is placed between the signs of Virgo and Leo, indicating we are to begin reading the heavenly scroll at Bethula, also known as Virgo. The sign of Revelation 12.1. And a great sign was seen in the heaven, a woman clad with the sun, and the Selene white moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars, and being pregnant she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. The sign of Revelation 12.1 links the star group Bethula, aka Virgo, with the full moon opposition. The sign of the Lamb. The sign of Revelation 12.1 also ensures 14 days later, on the day of Passover, the new moon conjunction will be in the star group Teller, Hebrew, Aries, Greek. If a total solar eclipse occurs, as it did on the day our Messiah was put to death, this reveals the sign of the Lamb. Behold the Lamb of Elohim, who took away the sins of the world. So, the great Sphinx statue at Giza indicates we are to begin reading the heavenly scroll at the star group Bethula, also known as Virgo. The sign of Revelation 12.1 links the star group Bethula with the full moon opposition. And the sign of the Lamb at Passover confirms the year begins with the full moon in the star group Bethula. The beginning of the year is marked by the full moon when it is in the star group named Bethula, Hebrew, or Virgo, Greek. Specifically when the full moon is between the woman's feet and the star in the woman's left hand. This star is named Schemek, Hebrew meaning branch, a figure of speech for our Messiah, or spica in Latin. This is the sign of Revelation 12.1, and it determines whether there will be 12 or 13 lunar months in a year. This sign of Revelation 12.1 is linked with the ripeness of the barley crop in Israel, but it is not the ripeness of the barley which determines the calendar. It is the calendar which determines the ripeness of the barley. 10. Passover versus Easter. Easter according to the Christian Church. The Church calculates the date of Easter using the Roman Gregorian calendar, Western Church, or the Julian calendar, Eastern Church. Easter Sunday is determined to be the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. However, the actual vernal equinox is not used, but is approximated to the 21st of March. And the actual astronomical full moon is not used, but is approximated to the ecclesiastical moon, because the Church needs their full moon to occur on a Friday Roman calendar. The Roman Gregorian calendar is a solar calendar. It is based upon the Syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac. The ecclesiastical moon is fictitious. The full moon does not produce a total solar eclipse and darkness at noon. The full moon does not produce the darkness at night in the Garden of Gethsemane. The full moon does not produce the sign of Passover, the sign of the Lamb. Good Friday and Easter Sunday deny the words of our Messiah by ignoring the one specific sign he gave: 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That is 72 hours. Easter is named after the Babylonian goddess Ishtar, also known as Astari. The pagan preoccupation with fertility and the golden egg of Astari gave us Easter bunnies that lay eggs. Further reading, consider the Quattrodeciman debate. Passover according to Rabbinic Judaism. The Hillel calendar used in modern Israel is a solar lunar calendar, and it is based upon the Syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac. It places Passover at the full moon. Again, this is a lie for all the reasons given here. Our Creator's Passover and Easter will never coincide with each other, and this is precisely what the 3rd century Christian Church intended. And this is exactly as the prophet Daniel predicted. They changed the times and the laws. 11. Conclusion. The purpose of the sun, the moon, and the stars is to 1. Separate the day from the night. 2. To be for signs and appointed times. 3. To be for days and years. So the sun, the moon, and the stars provide us with a calendar. But it is not just a calendar identifying days and years. It is also a calendar of signs and appointed times. And these signs and appointed times are a prophetic outline of the plan for redemption. It is a calendar of Moedim, appointed times and places, prophetic rehearsals for the bride of Messiah, those following the way of Yahuwah. It is a calendar of Otiot, signs, which our Creator's people bind on their hand, that is, in their actions, and between their eyes, that is, in their thinking. The Syzygy of the Hebrew Mazzaroth and of our Creator's calendar is sun, earth, moon, stars. That is, we are to read the signs and the appointed times at the full moon opposition. We are to stand on the earth with our backs to the sun, looking at the full moon and the stars in the distance. The Hebrew Mazzaroth and our Creator's calendar were corrupted at the Tower of Babel to become the Pagan Zodiac. It was corrupted in 3 ways. 1. Many of the Hebrew names were lost. 2. Many of the star pictures were corrupted. And 3. The Syzygy was reversed 180 degrees. In this way, our Creator's calendar was corrupted into the various pagan calendars. Our Messiah put to death at the new moon conjunction. 1. A new moon conjunction produces darkness at night. The lanterns and torches and the kiss in the Garden of Gethsemane confirm there was no moon on the night our Messiah was arrested. The night was dark. 2. A new moon conjunction may produce a total solar eclipse at noon. 3 hours of partial darkness and up to 6 minutes of total darkness. Luke's account describes exactly this, and Dionysius the Areopagite confirms the total solar eclipse. 3. A new moon conjunction in the first lunar month of the year may produce the sign of the Lamb. The dark new moon in the star picture Tela, also known as Aries. When the centurion and those with him saw this, they proclaimed, "Truly this was the Son of Elohim." And Josephus confirms the sun is in Aries in the first lunar month of the year. Our Messiah was put to death at Passover. Our Messiah was put to death at the new moon conjunction. Therefore, Passover is at the new moon conjunction, and Passover is in the middle of the lunar month, the 14th day of the lunar month. Therefore, the lunar month begins at the full moon opposition. 3 Passovers: the night of the Abrahamic covenant, the night of the Exodus, the night our Messiah is sentenced to death. All were dark. All were at the new moon conjunction. The commands: guard the lunar month of Abib, and this lunar month is the beginning of lunar months for you. Imply an observable sign which enables people to identify the first lunar month of the year. The great Sphinx statue at Giza indicates we are to begin reading the heavenly scroll at the star group Bethula, also known as Virgo. The sign of Revelation 12.1 links the star group Bethula with the full moon opposition. The sign of the Lamb at Passover also confirms the year beginning with the full moon in the star group Bethula. These signs occur in the spring, when the barley crop is ripe in Israel, the barley required for the wave sheaf offering. It is not the ripeness of the barley crop in Israel that determines the calendar. It is the calendar which determines the ripeness of the barley crop. The year begins with the sign of Revelation 12.1, the full moon at the feet of the woman Bethula. Passover occurs 14 days later with the sign of the Lamb, the dark new moon conjunction in the star picture Tela. The Christian Church uses the Roman Gregorian calendar and calculates Easter at the full moon opposition. This is the Syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac. It employs the Roman concept of a week, not the Hebrew Shavua, and it ignores the Hebrew Kodesh, the first day of the lunar month. Rabbinic Judaism uses the Hillel calendar and calculates their Passover at the full moon opposition. Again, this is the Syzygy of the Pagan Zodiac, and again it employs the Roman concept of a week, not the Hebrew Shavua, and again it ignores the Hebrew Kodesh, the first day of the lunar month. And this is exactly as the prophet Daniel predicted. They changed the times and the laws. Woe to you, religious leaders! Like King Jeroboam of Israel, you provoke our Creator to anger by devising in your hearts methods of worshipping our Creator on dates he has not appointed. The greatest obstacle to the truth is the assumption we already have it. So, what will you choose, the inconvenient truth or the reassuring lie?